Okay, let's do the thing, shall we? How's everybody doing today? So, last time, if anyone remembers, we were trying to make the texture triangles work, the shaded triangles rather, and fortunately, that has now been achieved off stream with the help of some folks from the RDP or from the emulation Discord. Exclamation point Discord in the chat to find those folks. Oh, for Christ's sake, I've asked. And off stream, I managed to get those working. I'm using a different background color because that ugly yellow color is ugly, but it's all worked out. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of show you what I changed to get that to work. What you doing? So I'm working on an N64 emulator. This is a software renderer that will handle the RDP, which is sort of the graphics card of the N64. And this time I'm going to be working on textured triangles, but I'm going to take a minute real quick just to talk through the shaded triangle thing because I spent like 3 streams trying to get it to work without much success, and so I wanted to talk about what I had to change. This probably will not make a ton of sense, like continuity-wise, for people who only watch the stream, but if you're watching it straight through on YouTube, for example, later, then hopefully this will clear some things up. So to draw the shaded triangle correctly, I had to make 2 changes. The first one is that if the triangle is right major, or is left major, all of the gradient values have to be reversed. So instead of adding, we subtract. And the second thing is that the direction has to be changed as well. So if you're drawing a right major triangle, you draw left to right, and if you're drawing a left major triangle, you draw right to left. Now, I'd heard all of these things said about drawing right to left and left to right, but I didn't realize that also meant mirroring the gradient. So that's basically what the problem was. As soon as I changed that, I managed to get everything to work. Is this Rust? Yes. Let me blow this up a little bit so it's easier to read, actually. Need one last. There we go. Okay. So there we go. Nice and easy. So what we're going to be targeting this time is we're going to be doing the texture triangle test from Chrome, which looks like this. I don't know why it looks like that. I would have chosen different textures, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Thank you once again to Chrome for Peter Lemon for making all these tests for us. And so the first thing that we need to do, it's been a while since I've done this, so you may have forgotten how this all works, but basically I have a build here of N64, which captures the RDP commands that are sent and will write them out to a log file. And so if we just go ahead and download this test ROM, and then we can just go ahead and run this with the texture triangle. Oh, for crying out loud. I keep forgetting to turn off my antivirus. Let me just go ahead and do that. No, no. Come on. Okay. N64. Oh, for crying out loud. I've been waiting for a long time for a native PS Vita N64 emulator. Still hasn't been done. Yeah, I'm just working on it on my own. It's not at a place right now where it's going to be super usable, but hopefully it'll get there. I haven't been working on it as much lately because I have another project, but I hope to focus on it a little bit more in about 6 weeks. Um, oh, I've frozen on my own stream. Cool. Can you, all of you still see me? Hear me and whatnot? Anyway, yeah, so this is still pretty early days, I would say. But, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles and all that crap. Okay, so here's N64 displaying the, okay, good, you can still hear me. Thanks for stopping by the way, said Who12. I don't think I've seen you here before. It means a lot to me that you would take time out of your day to watch me stream. So here's N64 displaying the textures. You can see down here at the bottom it says logged 486 words. That's the RDP command list, which gets logged to rdp list.bin. And so we're going to put that in documents, magic. Okay. I'm interested in this because I want to play N64 GameCube on PS Vita at good speed. You know, I've never had a PS Vita. I think that would be pretty cool. I wonder how these things work. So if you are interested in like general emulation development, something that you could do if you had some time on your hands is I did a stream a while back, which was the 1 week emulator challenge, and the it was the 1 week NES emulator challenge, and I recorded every moment of development on that Nintendo emulator, and I did my level best to document kind of why I was making those choices. So if you wanted to try that out, you can check out my YouTube channel, which is !YouTube in the chat, and it will you can watch that and you can learn everything that there is to know about developing an NES emulator, except how to make it actually work correctly. That's a little bit of a joke. Okay, so if I run this, now that I've got this sort of hooked up, and oh, it's examples, that's what I was thinking of. I might do it once I have some free time. That would be really cool. But yeah, regardless, basically what you do is you just read a bunch of documentation and then you write code that looks like that. That's obviously very oversimplified, but that's the sort of core premise. Okay, so this is just a simple little test harness which will read in that texture list command, and that set of texture commands, and it will run them through this decoder thing, which I'm just going to delete some unnecessary log statements real quick. Like I said, it took me a long time to get shading working, so I have a lot of printf debugging going on here. Oops. Okay. Yeah, so we have this read command call, which will read in and decode an RDP command. And if it's not found, then we just print it out. How do you do shading? So let's look at the documentation here for a second. We've got this document from SGI is the documentation for the RDP, and it tells you everything about how it does what it does. There's a set of commands that have like an opcode and then some data that describe the operation that needs to be done. So the edge coefficients command gives you basically the edge functions for the triangle that you're drawing, and you can render that in a number of different modes. The simplest mode is fill mode, which just has one color. The next up is shading, which has a gradient starting at each corner, and it basically has like values that you add as you traverse the triangle. And so in the read command thing here, we just branch or switch on the opcode basically. We figure out what it is. If it's a shade, which is this 0xc, then we parse it out. We get all these different gradient values. There is S15.16 fixed point. So there's an integer and then there's a fraction. We glue them all together into this shade coefficient struct down here. And then we pass it into the draw shade triangle handler, basically. Is all lighting done in hardware on N64? No. So the N64 has a weird architecture. Basically, do I have a... I guess I don't. But basically, the GPU is split into two halves. There's a fixed function half, which is the RDP, and then there's a programmable half, which is the RSP for reality signal processor. And the lighting is mostly done in the RSP, which is programmable. So it's software in a sense. It's a vector processor. So it's a very interesting architecture. It's pretty weird, and that's one of the reasons that it's so hard to emulate. Wow, what a name. Yeah, so the RDP is the reality display processor. The RSP is the reality signal processor, and the combined unit is the reality control processor. No shortage of ego at SGI back in the day, I guess. What is reality? So the Nintendo 64 had two code names. It had a code name at SGI, which was Project Reality, and it had a code name at Nintendo, which was Project Ultra. That's why my emulator is called Magic. So if you do ! Magic in the chat, it will explain kind of the history of that. Yeah, it's just a name. Okay, so I think we should be able to just run... Let's click on here. Alright, so we should be able to just set texture triangle, textured. Okay, so now this is going to run, and it's going to say, hey, I don't know what any of these commands are. Oh, okay. Did I misspell it? Hang on. Oh, I don't have an underscore. There we go. Okay, so this is going to run, and it's just going to say, hey, I don't know what any of those are. I should probably print out what the command is. Am I displaying it on an ImGUI image? Yes. Let's not print the no-ops, because those are doing what they're supposed to do, which is nothing. Oops. Okay. A lot of SGI products use the term reality in their name, Reality Engine, Infinite Reality. Okay, so these are all set combine mode commands. I probably should log these to a text file, huh? So that I can actually look at them. Goodbye. Alright, anyway. Now I need to be able to actually parse the command. So let's look at that. In here, we're going to just v-split this real quick so that I can shamelessly copy. Okay, so step 1. 0x, what is your coefficient, friendo? It's in here somewhere. Yes, so I'm using MGUI, and I wrote myself a little Rust. I made a couple of tweaks to the MGUI web GPU backend, so the rendering engine is web GPU. Okay, command identifier is what we want. Where's that list? This documentation is not like the best. So how is shading done? Right, so you just send it the command and the fixed function pipeline takes care of the Gorod shading. Do you do it with normals and everything? No, all of that is done in the... Well, okay, someone does, but not me. It's all done in the RSP, and I'm currently only working on the RDP. And so... Ah, here we go. 0A. Eventually, I will have to handle that, but not yet. It's a group project, yes. So texture triangle gets edge coefficients and shade coefficients. I should probably break this up. Yeah, let's just do that. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna clean up a couple of things. You make me really want to do graphics. That's awesome. That's one of the things that I hope to do with this whole endeavor of mine. Is to inspire people to work on cool projects. And really, a lot of people are very intimidated, I think, by the concept of writing an emulator. And so I really wanted people to so I want to, you know, be really open about the things that I'm doing, even when I'm not doing the best at them. That's why I was willing to bash my head against the shade thing for 2 entire streams, because I think it's worth seeing that, you know, yeah, okay, it's hard, but it is doable, and it doesn't, like, no one who writes an emulator is superhuman. It does look like a lot of work. Yeah, that is true. Can't deny that. Go over there. Edge coefficients. Okay, and let's just go ahead and nuke all of this. And hopefully this will still work, huh? Huh, interesting. Synthetic, is that you, Sin? Or are you someone I don't know in real life? Wait a minute. Oh. Yeah, okay, so it's cranky because I started implementing something and then stopped in the middle. Cannot use the question mark operator in a function that returns. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oh, I should probably make it actually return something. Someone you don't know, I don't know you. Okay, cool. You have the similar name and spelling to someone that I do know. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just factoring out the edge coefficients stuff because every triangle is going to need to read it, and it's kind of ugly to just like copy and paste it over and over again. I don't know what I was doing previously because apparently I was just la 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 code duplication all over the place. But da, 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 da. Okay, 125. Oh, it's because I still have this. That's why you're confused. And then, why are you cranky about value? Where did I get value from? Ah, okay, because I got the opcode out of the value. So let's pass that in then. That's fine, we can fix that. Do. Okay, so we're just gonna make this value u64, and now you should work. Nope, not quite. Can't borrow self is mutable as it's not declared as mutable. Okay, well then maybe I don't actually need a mutable reader, although I assumed I did. Try that. Oh, okay, I get it. Because I bet... Yeah. Giving the Rust haters some ammunition today. Oh, okay, I see why this is happening. Rust compiler being restrictive. Not exactly, I was just telling it the wrong thing. So what's going on here is... Interesting. What's going on here is that I was calling this read function with IO read, but IO read is a trait. It's not actually a type. It's like trying to call a generic function without making it generic, I guess. It's kind of hard to give a good example of it. Okay, so now it's angry about sizes. Add a where self size bound. Okay. I mean, I guess I can do that. Okay, so this is because of my blanket implementation. Okay, there we go. Hooray, it's back. Okay, so now that I'm done messing around with that, I'm just going to use it everywhere that has edge coefficients, which is right here also. And eventually, I'm going to need to do the same thing for shade coefficients because there are triangle types that also have shade coefficients, but currently this one will not, so who cares? All right, so there's my edge coefficients, and now we need to implement the other thing. which is the texture coefficients in this case. So tick, tick, tick. Look at this huge pile of texture coefficients. What other languages are you comfortable with? C, C++, C Sharp. I write a lot of Python. I don't know that I would call myself comfortable with it. It just isn't the same shape as my brain. I've done work in various assembly languages, particularly the MSP430. In general, I think language is a pretty low, not priority. I just think it's not that important what language you're using, generally. So, oops. I mean, once you've picked up a couple, you can basically figure out the rest of them. Even the weird ones, like I learned Scheme in school, and it's very helpful when I run into something funky like Haskell. Okay, so let's look at how we do this for shade triangle. Basically, let data equal self dot read u64 big endian. Right. So this is pretty straightforward. Same as this, actually. I can probably just copy it and change the names. S, T, W, unused. I'm trying to do visuals using PowerShell, having a tough time. Yeah, I imagine that you would. I don't actually know PowerShell very well. I probably should learn that someday. It does seem like something that would be useful to know how to do, because I do spend a lot of time doing like weird Windows scripting stuff, but you know. Someone built a ray tracer in Excel. That's true, I did see that. Oops. Okay, and so then this just needs a D. I'm gonna get rid of the E. It's really useful as a systems engineer. Yeah, I bet. Okay, so these are edge coefficients. Oh, these need to be dx. Yeah, I have to go later. Thanks for stopping by, said who. I do this every weekend on Sundays, and maybe some other times, we'll see. Feel free to stop by again. Appreciate you watching. Okay, so we got DSDE, and then DSDY. Lord only knows why they put these before their fractional counterparts, but whatever. Fraction. Okay. Let texture coefficients. I don't know why I can't spell coefficients today. S, T, W, DS, DX, DT, DX, DW, DX. Okay, whatever, I'll just type them. S frac, T frac, W frac, DS dx frac, dt dx frac, dw dx frac. This is what most of programming is, unfortunately. You just type stuff from documentation. Certainly emulator programming, a lot of it looks like this. If I was really cool, I would write some sort of tool that scraped the PDF and turned it into something more useful that I could copy and paste into these things. But that is almost never worth it for a one-off. Right, Y's. dt dy fraction, dw dy fraction. Okay, and then we're going to return. Okay, RDP command, texture triangle, edge coefficients, texture coefficients. Okay, so now none of those actually exist yet, so let's go ahead and implement them. The old SKCD is spending 12 hours on a tool for 4 hours of work. Yes, indeed. Texture. There we go. And then what's the other thing? Oh, I don't have the actual struct put together yet. So, okay. Boop-a-doop. I need to clean up some of this code off stream. It's a little bit excessive in places. A lot of duplication just because I was lazy. Or not lazy, but trying to get something to work before I spent a lot of time on prettying things up. But now that things work, I should probably pretty them up at least a little bit. I guess you two know each other, P. Lupin and Metaconstruct. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate that. Alright, let me take a look at this. Are you here from the, let's see, what would you be? From the N64 Dev Discord or somewhere else? We do GameCube stuff. Okay. That's cool. What kind of stuff? Are you involved with Dolphin or do homebrew or is that gonna build? Oh, I forgot to change the name. That'll get you. What? Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Both. I do GameCube, Wii, task stuff also. Oh, that's awesome. Task stuff is super cool. There we go. Okay, let's make sure I didn't break fill triangle. I've written a decompiled version. Uh-oh, looks like I broke fill triangle. I've written a decompiled version of Super Smash Bros. Melee. Meta is more general, but contributes to some stuff related. That's awesome. That's really cool. The decompilation scene, for lack of a better word, has really exploded lately, or at least I've become aware of it. Did you have a particular goal in mind with that, or just thought it would be cool? Okay, so then... Alright, so now I'm just plumbing in this bit to actually draw a textured triangle. which does not exist yet, so now I'm going to have to write it. Oh, whoops. My goal was ultimately to facilitate growth in the modding scene, and yeah, N64 decomps exploded from basically the same people working on all of them. Yeah, well, you know, that's how an ecosystem happens sometimes, right? Like, people work on a project, they learn how to oh yeah, okay. They learn how to do the thing, whatever the thing is, and then they spread out and work on their own projects or whatever. Wait, what's happening here? Oh, I'm changing the wrong file. Get you every time. Okay, here we go. Okay, and then this needs to become textures. Okay, there we go. They're working on Ocarina of Time now, which is helping Majora's Mask. I'm definitely hyped for them. Yeah, absolutely. I love Majora's Mask. That's my favorite, one of my favorite games of all time. I'm not sure if it's but it's definitely way up there. It's a good time to be working on N64 Zelda games. Yeah, for sure. I can't believe the SM64 decomp people didn't get sued. So that's I think really encouraging on a number of fronts. Okay, in the draw call. All right, so this is working out now. So what we've got is we have all these different coefficients, and we have a way to interpolate them across the triangle, which is probably the first thing I should do, is just like hack that in there. Again, like, this is really something that should be, because it's pretty straightforward to just say, like, interpolate this thing over the triangle and just put it in a function. I should probably do that, but I don't think I'm going to do it right now. It doesn't seem like a good use of time necessarily while I'm on stream, but I'm going to have to remember to do that later. Di, will you remind me, if you're listening, to come back and do this off stream? Okay, so we're just going to change all of the R's and all the reds into S's, all the greens into T's, all the blues into W's. Yes, all right, thank you. Appreciate you. S, green, T. Oh, actually, hang on, undo. S, red, green, blue. So green, T, blue, W, DR, DS, DG, DT, DB, DW. And then we delete all the alpha. Okay, delete all the alpha. Stream has been live for 42 minutes, 46 seconds. That's not that long. get color from texture here. So this is the code basically just to interpolate over a triangle described by those edge functions I was talking about before. Basically what you do is you start at the top, and then you either go right to left or left to right, depending on whether it's left major or right major. And you just walk along the row, incrementing by dx. You walk down the edge, incrementing by de, and you walk down the screen, incrementing by dy. Don't ask me why they have both dy and de. Those seem extremely redundant to me, but I don't know. I didn't work at SGI in the 90s. I'm sure they had some sort of reason. Oops, alpha. Oh, we changed edge to ed to everywhere. All right, let's fix that real quick. That's what happens when you blindly search and replace stuff. Okay. All right, so this should run now, hopefully. Probably going to have a couple issues. Oh, because I didn't change shade coefficients into texture coefficients. That makes sense. They were all too high on the market enthusiasm to care. Who among us can say that they would not do the same were they in such a position? Not I. Not I. Right, and then I haven't written the equivalent methods for this function. Again, this should probably be more generic. Don't really know why it's not, but okay. Where's the texture coefficient stuff? There it is. So, simple texture coefficient. I'm going to get rid of these because I don't think they're used. I am going to take this and turn it into X U16 frac U16, and then we're just going to go ahead and do X frac. Okay, and then we're going to do pub fun S. Okay, and then everything should be basically the same from this point forward. Probably not worth doing that because it'll substitute all the S's in the whole thing. TT W DS DX. I definitely haven't shipped product with awful code and redundant checks. Nope. Yeah. Do you work in the, I don't even know what to call it, graphics industry? Actually, I guess that was the last guy. Or girl, woman, whatever. Let me rephrase. What do you do for a living? Do you work in the industry? TIL, XFS came from SGI. I like XFS. Actually, that's not true. Yeah, so this does not exist. I used XFS when I was much younger and dumber. Nowadays, the only overcomplicated file system I would use is ZFS. Okay. Security and systems programming stuff. That's cool. I have a lot of friends who are in InfoSec, I guess they call it. Thankfully, no, I'm too stupid at math for that. I work in web dev and maintain legacy platforms in the worst PHP ever, plus I write a bunch of new platforms in .NET Core. I have been writing new platforms in .NET Core recently. I am not its biggest fan, although it's, not the worst thing. Really, what I hate more than anything else is WPF, but ASP.NET has given me a few brief moments as well. Okay. Do you like your job? Are you happy with the company that you work in? I mean, that will honestly. Oh, that's why. That will honestly go a huge way, regardless of like technology. It's all about the people and the bosses and the environment. Okay. That is completely illegible because I didn't make them :# x8, I guess is what I want. Or maybe 10. I always forget. (8x), is that what we want? So 8x sharp. Oops. I should probably just look this up, huh? I know I used it elsewhere. : x ? Maybe I need the leading 0. Maybe that's what I'm missing. These are Rust format string arguments. I'm trying to convince it that it needs to print the pixel values as hex and pad it with zeros if necessary. But for some reason, I'm effing it up. (08x) I think is probably what I want. Yeah, I enjoy my company. I have struggles with one of the platforms I'm not lead on because they use Mongo and some other tech that I hate. Yeah, I'm such a control freak. I have a real hard time with any project that I'm not the lead on. And like people will get in a meeting room who are on that project and I'll be like, "No, wait. Invite me." But eventually I have to get over that. Okay, so these are the texture coordinates. Now I need to figure out how you assign the texture. I'm assuming that's going to be another command. Set texture image. There we go. How about that? Okay, so obviously same thing here. Just got to do what are we? 0x3d. Set texture image. I'm just at the point of write it, ship it, let someone else fix it. Yeah, I try to maintain like a Zen state now. I'm like, okay, it's okay. You know, you don't actually care that much. That's basically the thing I have to keep in mind. It's like, it really doesn't actually matter that much. Value, right shift, 53, 0x. How big are you? 3, 4, 5, 3 bits. 7. As you 8. Once again, just copying stuff directly out of the documentation. Value right shift 32. And how big are you? So that's 8 up to 39. Or yeah. 39 is 8, so 40, 41. So that's 10 bits. Which is a 3FF as U16. DRAM address. Which is a 26-bit address. Three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? That should be good. Yeah. Image reference. And then we'll just do all of this again. Except we should probably convert this to a bunch of enums and stuff. For me, it changes my company's vertical if this particular product ships, so it potentially may not work less on new stuff and more on maintenance, which I have mixed feelings on. Yeah, I feel that. Maintenance, like, it's super important. You absolutely cannot let it slack off, but it's rarely appreciated at the level that it should be, in my experience. Alright, so need a bunch of new structures. First of all, texture format. So we've got 4 different formats: RGBA, YUV, color index, IA, and I. I don't know what either of those last two are. I'm sure I'll learn someday. Okay, and then texture size, 4, bit 8, bit 16, bit 32. Yeah, I'm more of the mindset that I program for the new interesting challenges, and maintenance offers neither typically. Yeah, I have that same kind of neophile instinct. I try to not fight it necessarily, but like be aware of it, I guess, because it can be harmful sometimes. Uh, like I said, maintenance is hugely important, even if I don't personally like it that much. But yeah, there's not like a good way to do this, is there? Do I have any Rust people in the chat who could tell me whether there's like a good way to just slam an integer into an enum? There's num derive. I don't think I have that one, do I? Nope. Alright, I'm not taking another stinking dependency just for that, so I will make a function. Simple texture format. Pub from U8. X U8. Should probably return a result. Make a function, yeah. Okay. Ah, Siri. I have to figure out how to turn that off. I forget what I was doing. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay, so 0, texture format, RGBA. LUV. IA. I. And then do the same thing except with size. Oh, I need an OK around this. You know what? I don't really feel like doing this the right way today. I'm just going to change this to an underscore and get rid of the result, because otherwise I'd have to like invent an error type, and I don't really want to do that. I own you code. I know when you're going to be called. I guess enums are supposed to be completely erased at compile time. Like, they don't want you to know that there's an int under the hood. That feel when you get lost in the type safety. Yeah, there's a few things like that that I kind of just wish were a little bit relaxed. The big one that always gets me, even though I understand why it is, it's just hugely irritating, is iterators. If you call map on an iterator, it's no longer just like an iterator over U32 anymore. It's like the type changes even though it still implements the trait, and just so often it's hugely irritating. Okay, so this is going to be texture format from U8. I guess I could have written from implementations, huh? That would have been the super cool boy way to do it. Okay. What does the type change to? It changes to a map is like a struct map, because it needs to hold the function that it's mapping over because it's lazily evaluated. So it needs that extra storage, so it pokes it into a new type, which is a type map. I understand why it happens. It's just kind of annoying. Damn, explicit thunks. Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, it's Rust. It's got to be explicit. Okay. You're still going to fail because I never made a set texture image command. Okay. Now I need to actually store the thing, but the problem is that this thing currently doesn't have what you think of historically as memory. So we got to think about this for a minute. I think probably what it needs to do is take in some sort of memory bus structure into the RDP when it gets constructed. There is no real construction of an RDP right now. It's all whatever you call these. The functions don't take self, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to need to fix that probably. Well, no, I guess not. Only some of them need to really take self. And I think really just this loop needs like a self. Because then we can take the image reference out of the command and we can turn it into bytes, and then we can pass it into our draw texture triangle right here. So eventually we're going to want this main loop to be part of the RDP struct probably. We're going to have to kind of flatten this out at some point as well. But for now, it should be fine. So if we get set texture image ref. Oh, I'm already doing this with the color up here. So I'm learning a little bit more about common Lisp macros and seeing where it could be useful. Yeah, definitely. I really like Lisp macros. I really like Rust macros for that matter. Procedural macros in Rust are almost as powerful as common Lisp macros. That's another one of those things where like Rust is so close to being what I want it to be, but there's a bunch of stuff that's like not quite over the finish line of finished. You can't put like I couldn't put a procedural macro here. You can't have them in what's called expression position. You can only have them in item position and I think a couple other ones. But in my opinion, there's no reason not to allow that to happen at this point. But wow, that sucks. Yeah, I agree. There are hygiene concerns because Rust wants to have like selectable hygiene, I guess. Common Lisp, as you probably know, has no hygiene. Scheme has hygienic macros. Rust wants to be able to like select, which I get. Again, I understand why the situation is the way it is, but I wish that it was not. Okay. Just gonna write myself a nice little get image magic image reference, and you're gonna return a vec u8. I hate to admit it, but a little syntax more than parentheses is a big plus. Yes, I agree with that. And I think that once Rust kind of like figures out what it's doing, it will be great. In terms of procedural macros. It's just taking longer than I would prefer, but you can't complain too loudly about that because, you know, volunteer project, you could always pick up a shovel and work on it yourself, and I'm obviously not doing that, so alright, so I'm just gonna hard code these image locations for a moment. Oh, are we not calling that? What the heck, man? Huh. That's weird. I feel like that should be being called. Let's take a look at the source code. Yeah, it's right there. Huh. I wonder if this is one of the known errata. Oh no, there's a 3D right there. Percentage-wise, how far along is this project? I mean, it depends on what you consider to be the project, but no matter what the answer to that is, not very, like 5% at best. It's probably generous. I'm in the wrong file again. I'm gonna close this file because I keep screwing up. So this is the RDP, right? I already kind of talked about this, but it's the fixed function graphics unit. It it does like rasterization and texturing and that kind of thing. And then damn it. There's the RSP, which is a MIPS vector processor, which does a lot of the like transform and lighting stuff and all like that. And then there is the regular ass CPU, which is a MIPS VR4300. Not to mention, you know, peripherals and blah, 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 blah. There's tons of stuff. The N64 is not a simple system. Field address is private. Okay, well, we can fix that. Did I make the MIPS emulator yet? No. I've started it. I wrote some amount of it, but I want to basically tear that stuff up because I've learned a ton since then. This is a huge project. I'm going to be working on it forever. I have no real expectations that I'll ever finish it. Okay, good. Which is important because if I was worried about like finishing it, then it would really stress me out to work on it. So it's just like a fun thing that I do on the weekend. I, you know, hang out on the internet, show people what I'm working on. Hopefully they find that interesting. And yeah, we just chill. What did you learn that causes you to want to tear stuff up? Can you show that code? Yeah, I can. Maybe. I'm not actually sure if I have it on this system. No, I don't think I have that. Oh, maybe I do. No, not on this system. It's on my laptop. I'll grab that for next stream, though. How's that for viral marketing? Now you have to come back. But basically, I wrote, I don't know if you were here when I mentioned this before, but I did a challenge, air quotes, to implement an NES emulator in a week or less, or 2 weeks or less, rather. And all of those videos are on my YouTube channel, which, if you are interested. But basically, in the process of that, I took a somewhat novel approach, which is basically like, instead of doing code routines, which is what something like Vue's BeastNest emulator does, in order to kind of like handle cycle accuracy when you have multiple processors that need to synchronize, I sort of flattened them out into a queue of micro operations, and I think that worked really well. But I definitely learned some things about like how to do that effectively. And so I want to take some of that learning, essentially. This is shade triangle. I want to take some of that learning and adapt it into my N64 emulator. I did do a little bit of that sort of thing, but hang on. Okay. Texture 8x8, texture 16x16, texture 32x32. Anyway, that was sort of incoherent, but basically, another thing that I learned is I just got better at Rust, honestly. I was trying to be super generic in a bunch of ways that aren't very helpful in terms of things like what kind of memory region is the N64 accessing and blah, blah, blah. And I just learned more about the N64 and how it works. I was making a bunch of assumptions that it turns out aren't correct. Like the N64's boot code, when it executes, copies a bunch of data into the instruction memory of the RSP, which I thought meant that the RSP was going to execute it, but actually no, the CPU just jumps to that instruction memory, and because it's memory mapped in, it can still execute from there. It's just a cheap way to get a little bit of fast memory without having to set up all the caches and stuff. And I was not handling that correctly. A bunch of assumptions in my mapper and things like that are just not correct. Alright, so alright, so what we have now is that this thing gives us a 4-bit RGBA with a width of 7 at that address. And so that's the 8x8 texture, which is found in here. How do I want to do this? What time is it? How are we doing? It's like 9:30. I guess I wonder if it's at this offset in the ROM file. Let's go check that out. Okay, so yeah, maybe. Texture D8, D8. Yeah, okay, that looks correct to me. All right, so we're just gonna index into the ROM file then. Oh, hello, cat. Cat's getting cranky. Okay, so when I grab the texture list, I'm gonna need to read in texture file, and we're gonna open up this. Do, 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 do. And then gonna just, I guess, read it all in. Oh, hello, cat. Come up here. The people want to see your fuzzy face. Come here, bud. Oh, Fluffy. Observe my fluffy boy. He's so cute. He's a good kitty. He does kind of get in the way of streaming sometimes, but you know what? He's cute. So he gets away with it. Trying to code past his butt. Alright, bud. Get down. Sorry. Just using you for internet karma. Don't actually have time for you to sit on my lap right now. Sit in the cat chair. Okay, there we go. And then we make the get image, take memory, which is a slice of U8s. And then we pass texture bytes in when we call it. As long as that runs, we should be good to go. Yep. Okay, so now we're going to do okay, so we're just going to run that and see if it matches what we expect. Oh, it's not self, first of all. It's memory. Gotta import the traits, I guess. Didn't realize I didn't have those everywhere. Can I use the question mark operator? Sure. Dot unwrap. Cannot borrow is mutable. Okay, fair enough. The method readu32 exists, but the following trait bounds were not satisfied. What? Aren't I passing command bytes in exactly the same way? I guess I'm calling it on command slice. Does that work? Probably not. Making this more complicated than it needs to be. But I can't take it as ownership. I mean, I guess I can. I'll just clone the whole ROM every time. Who cares? It's not a good solution to this problem, but whatever. I'll figure out the rest of it later. I'm confused. Why don't you satisfy that? Alright. Whatever. Memory image ref.address. Okay, so it's big endian, which means that this needs to be shifted 24 plus 1, 16, plus 2, 8, plus 3, slice indexes are of type usize or ranges of usize. Okay, fair, fine. Let address equal image ref.adder as usize. Image ref.adder address g go. God damn it. I said G. Attempting to shift left with overflow because I need to put as in front of all of these. Drowning in the type safety. Index out of bounds. The length is 1944, but the index is 6257. Why is the length 1954? That doesn't seem right. Oh, it's because I set num bytes based on file and not text file. Yep. Okay, so it's being read in. That's good. Kind of panic here. And just, geez, what's going on? Did I hit caps lock or something? Nope. Okay. So now this is gonna explode immediately. First 4 bytes are 0. Is that true? No, it's not supposed to be. Does it match my XSD call earlier? No. So what gives? Oops. You can tell I'm getting worn out because I must be doing something dumb here. Alright. Zero 6x, I guess. Oh, that was dumb. It's 4. But okay, that's odd. That sure looks like it should be an F. Texture bytes. Must be doing something dumb here. Everybody, I think I want to say thanks again for stopping by and taking time out of your busy days to watch me stream. It really means a lot to me that you would do that. I always start to feel I don't know, a little weird at times like this where there's not really anything exciting happening. But people still seem to be enjoying themselves, so who am I to argue with that? What is happening here? Have you on in the background while I'm migrating a bunch of backups. Oh boy, yeah. I remember those days. I used to work as a sysadmin when I was in college, and I used to joke about how that whole job was just watching numbers go up. Whether it was, a virus scan, or it was migrating backups, or installing Windows, or whatever. It's like, oh, just watch the numbers go up for a little while. What is going on here? If byte is not equal to 0, print line, first non-zero byte is colon squiggle sharp 04x byte break. No Okay, so for some reason, you're finding the file, but every maybe it's because I'm doing this resize width. What happens if I don't do that? It's finding the file, but every byte is 0. Oh, I'm an idiot. I knew it was going to be something dumb. Always is. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's get rid of all this junk. For those of you who are just listening and not watching, what happened is that I was reading from the file that has the command list and not the file that has the texture data, and once you've already read to the end of the file, if you call read on it again, it just immediately returns no data, and so my vector was not getting filled with any data, which is why everything was 0, because I was resize withing it to be zeros. Okay, so now we have a reasonable first 4 bytes, and now we have to do something a little bit more useful. I think what we want to return is actually going to be a vector of U32 for now, because we're assuming currently that all colors are in RGBA U32 format. And so what we want to do is just, we've got RGBA, we've got 4 bits, and we've got a width of 7. Is that right? The width of 7 makes sense to me. I'm not sure why. Size of pixel 32B. I must be getting that wrong somehow. Because 4-bit RGBA is illegal. So I must be parsing this wrong somehow. Size is 51, and it's 2 bits wide. Oh, it's more than that, isn't it? It's 16, which means 18. Kaboom! What? Oh, I forgot the X. $3D 1807. Okay, so we got 3D. The 18 is all that matters for finding this. So hex of 18 should give us format 0, size 3, which would be correct. So maybe it's in texture size from U8 that I screwed up. Yeah, okay. Do. Okay, so size is 3, but then it returns bit 4. I don't really understand why. Maybe these need to go at the bottom. Actually, that's probably exactly why. I forgot those were priority. There we go. Alright. Cool beans. Okay, so get image. This is what we're going to do. For I in address dot address plus image ref dot width. Gonna just print them again. Just taking things nice and slow. I can feel that I'm running at less than my optimum just because I've been streaming for a while and it's pretty late on a Sunday and my sleep schedule always gets screwed up on the weekends. So just going to take everything nice and slow. Okay, so there we are. And then if we look at the source data, which I think is this file, nope, this one. Okay, so we got FF over and over again because I probably didn't adjust to using I instead of address. Oops. There we go. Better. Okay. F00. Oh, that doesn't seem right, does it? Oh, I needs to go up by 4. That's why. Oof. Okay, yeah, that's not right. Rust doesn't have a step by range function, does it? I mean, I guess I can do it this way. 0 to width dot map address plus x times 4. That should be good. Yep. F00 FF000. Okay. And then this should be equal because it's already base 0. Or not base 0, but you know what I mean. Index from 0. And then, okay, I think that's good. Now I just need to figure out how many rows. Are all textures square? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Width of image in pixels. Huh. That's a bit odd. I mean, maybe S&T just like deal with that. That would kind of make sense. These are all You know what? I think maybe I'm just making this more complicated than it strictly speaking needs to be. I think I can probably just pass. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to hang on to image ref here instead. And then when I draw the texture triangle, I'm going to pass in Emulator texture bytes. Oop. And then I'm just going to call this memory, which is again an NU 8. Or actually, I guess it doesn't even need to be mutable. It can just be a U8. Okay, and then it needs texture is going to be an image reference, which is going to be texture, right? And then we're probably going to want to go up here and go to image reference and derive copy for it, which necessarily implies that we're deriving copy for all of these fools. Okay. You have to derive clone if you derive copy. There we go. Use of possibly uninitialized texture. Sure, sure. Can you derive default on this thing? I don't even know if you can derive default. We'll find out. Nope, can't derive it for enums. Fair enough. Texture size. Do 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 do. From default self texture format RGBA. Size bit 4, and then okay, there we go. Okay. Alright, so now you run. The next thing is how do I actually draw a texture. I feel like I kind of want to get to that point before I call it, but it has been 2 hours. I think I'm going to go to bed because I do have work in the morning. So this was mostly just a setup stream, and then in next week's stream we'll actually put a texture on the screen. Sorry if that's sort of an anticlimax, but I do have work tomorrow, and I got a pretty late start today. I really appreciate everybody coming by, especially the new folks who haven't been here before. I'll be back next Sunday, hopefully around 2 p.m. That's when I usually try to stream, 2 p.m. Pacific. If you found this to be interesting, you know, follow, subscribe, etc. Smash that like button, as they say. I'm really enjoying this whole process, and it's only fun because you guys show up. So I appreciate you. Thanks. Have a good night. Enjoy your week, and I'll hopefully see you next weekend.